Isn't it gratifying that when you finally get to the closing table, you think, oh, we finally got there, we can close, we can move on, and everybody be happy. But there's some things that you need to do after the closing to really solidify the relationship between you and your client. So that's what we're going to go over today. So stay tuned, and we're going to go over some really good concepts to implement into your business for the post-close power system. Welcome to the Unstoppable Real Estate Agents Podcast. I'm your host and real estate productivity expert, Kim Hughes. Join me as we focus on real strategies and implement real solutions designed for you to achieve major success in your business and life while getting you organized. You know, when we are always so excited to get the listing appointment or get that new buyer, that we have everything organized on that end, but then when you get to the contract and you're under contract, that's kind of where you either are so absorbed with the closing of everything you have to do, or you have given that to your transaction coordinator to close, but now you've moved on to the next client, etc. Now, I would hope, and I pretty much can guarantee, that all the agents that are listening to this podcast have a really good CRM system. They have it organized by the type of client, and they have everybody in a category or a group, whatever your CRM calls it. So we're going to assume that you have all that, and if you don't, that's going to be a podcast that we did a couple of weeks ago that you can go back and listen to, and we'll make sure to put that link in here for you. So, you know, when we go under contract, there's a lot of handling that goes on. So we're not going to go into deep on that, but while you're under contract, you should have a really solid system in place that communicates with your client and keeps them updated on what's going on through the closing process. Now, when this happens, it helps the client from worrying, from thinking, why are they not calling me? And for them having to reach out to you. So to have that really good system in place, you really need to understand what does your client need from you to just stay in touch and keep them updated on what's going on with the closing. So if you don't have an email sequence for the transaction period, you need one. If you don't, let me know. We'll help you put one together. But if you do have one, then you need to probably go and take a look at it. Make sure it's still current, all the data is still there, all the way you want to talk to them is still there. So we always want to refresh those campaigns. So I always say look at them about every 6 months, if not every year. Okay, so now that kind of sets us up for the day of closing. So let's just hypothetically say you have a closing at 3 o'clock and everything is going great. The closing is there. Everybody has signed off. Everybody has now gone their own way. So they've got their keys in hand. Everything is great. Now you have to close out your file and you have to send it in to your broker or to the franchise so that they can keep up with your compliance and all that stuff. So once that closing happens, you should immediately, even if you were standing right there with them the whole time, when y'all separate, you should send them a text message. And if it's more than one person that was involved, you need to put them all on that chat. And you need to tell them how much you appreciate them for, trusting you with, their real estate needs. If they need anything, let you know. You'll be checking in with them over the next couple of weeks to see if everything is going smoothly. If not, let you know, because you are that point of contact to help them. So if they get into the new house and they find that the seller took something they shouldn't have, of course they're going to call you. But I'm talking about things like, maybe you reach out to them and take them dinner. Maybe you take them a welcome home gift. There's just all kinds of things. Even if you're on a real tight budget, just sending them a little thank you card in the mail is huge. It shows that you took the time, you took the effort, and you appreciate their business and you respect them. So if you can't do anything else, go out and get you some thank you cards. Go to Canva and create a thank you card. There's so many apps that you can also download for free that you can send a little thank you to. So make sure you do that. Even if you do get a closing gift, you still send a handwritten thank you note. That is proper etiquette. I don't care what year we're in, that is proper etiquette. Okay, now, of course, your handwritten card should be branded around you. It should have a tip for them, maybe something like, don't forget to change your air filter, something like that, just to kind of let them know that you're thinking a little outside of the box, okay? Then, if you're looking at closing gifts, what is your price range? Do you break it down by the price of the home? Do you break it down by other things that maybe you take into consideration? So if you are one of those agents that you're struggling to find a really good closing gift that everybody would enjoy, jump over to Etsy and just put in, housewarming gifts. So a couple of things that I see agents do that I just think they're great is some of my agents for a closing gift, they will go, and you do this on Etsy, they get a couch pillow. And I call them couch pillows. They're pillows that you put on your couch and your chair, somewhere in the main living area where when people come over, they see it. And this pillow is going to have their initial, and down at the bottom, it says established and whatever year that they closed on their home and moved in. So I would have an H, and then down at the bottom, I would have, established 2025. Something like that, with maybe my name and my husband's name. Maybe a pillow with all my children and my husband and I. So you can get really creative by going on to Etsy and ordering these handmade gifts, because that way you can customize it a little bit better. Kind of like a serving tray. Those are real popular. Bottle of wine, some wine glasses with their initials on them, whatever that may be. There is a guy on Etsy that if you work with lake property or anything like that, I have so many friends that own homes on lakes that for their housewarming gift, what I did was I went on Etsy, found the guy, and he made thermos, he made wine glasses and everything. And he sketched the lake onto the glass and then put like Hughes Homestead or Hughes, Lake House or something like that, and then put the year. Those are the best gifts. And everybody that has gotten them thought they were unique, they were memorable, and they really did like them. And it showed that we took a minute to think about what they would enjoy as a housewarming gift when they moved in. So things like that, think about where you live, what do your clients like, and then kind of go from there. And maybe have a variety of maybe about five items that you choose from as a closing gift, because somebody's going to fit into that category. So for example, I don't drink, so you wouldn't want to give me anything like wine or anything like that because I'm not going to drink it. But if you want to give me a pillow, a serving tray, something like that, I would love it. And so you just got to know what your clients, what their lifestyle is when you're thinking about a closing gift. And then the next thing that we want to do is make sure that you have your post campaign set up. Now, this can get really amazing because the information that you have to share with your past clients is going to be educational, it's going to be fun, it's going to be nurturing, etc. So what I always want to recommend is that you send out a newsletter. You hear me talk about this all the time. A monthly newsletter doesn't have to be over the top and full of information. It could just have one or two things. So if you're like getting my newsletter, you're only getting one or two things in that newsletter because I want you to take action on it. I want you to understand that here's some things that you can do right now, and then here's a business tip. That's all you need. You don't need me to sit there and chit chat about how pretty it is outside or what my kids are doing or anything like that. So I'm very focused in my newsletter because I know that I do not want to waste your time. So what I'm going to deliver is going to be valuable. And that's the way you need to look at your newsletter, is that it is a valuable tool in your business arsenal. So that newsletter needs to go out on the same day every month. It can go out the first Tuesday of the month, the last Thursday of the month. I don't care. But I do want to remind you that if you're sending your newsletter, you should be putting your market stats in there. And those market stats usually don't come out until around the middle of the month. So I always want my agents to put the stats into their newsletter so that they get it. Now, if you say, I don't want to do that, then you can send your newsletter at a different time or anytime you want, but then send out a second email each month with the market stats. Make a video. Give your opinion of those market stats. Talk about that. I think it was my last podcast or the one before, I said, get another service provider on there with you and talk about them. Maybe your mortgage broker, your title company, somebody like that. And then, kind of build that relationship from what you're doing and really put thought into it. It doesn't take a lot of time to do these things, but it does take a little time to think it through and how is it going to be received by the audience. So that's always the key. You may have 100 things you want to tell them, but what are they really going to listen to? And that's what you do. And that's what you put in your newsletter. Your email sequences. You should have emails that go out constantly. One with a homeowner tip, maybe weekend events, things that are going on in the community. Like if there is a big end of school year party, you might want to talk about it. Some festival, July 4th party. Of course, we're going into May. So a lot of my clients are doing Mother's Day gifts, and a lot of them are partnering with nurseries and then giving away maybe a flat of flowers or a pot of flowers or a basket or something like that. They all have a different price range. And so each agent's doing their own thing. I have one agent that's going to have a photographer there at the nursery, and they're going to have a real cute little backdrop. And then the agent is offering free mother, child, or family photos. So you as the mother are going to have pictures made with your children and your husband, which we don't do very often. So if an agent could put something like that together, and get a really good discount from the photographer, or even have the photographer do it for free because now they're promoting their business, then that could be a win-win for every person involved and a lot of fun. So kind of think about, what are you going to do next month that you can nurture your clients and touch base with them, build that relationship. You really need to focus on that and not think that everybody has to come, because whatever event you have, it may not appeal to everybody in your audience. So when you have that one event, you can look at and see who came to that one, and then maybe do a totally different one later and invite everybody and see who comes to that one, so you can see kind of what people gravitate to. And then going forward, what you need to do to get the right people there, right? Okay. So then, your emails could be anything. These are tips that you want them to take action on, or something that they can learn from. Do not just send them fluff. Send them something that is beneficial to them as a homeowner. It could be, a video on how to change out your garbage disposal. I don't know. Or change out your air filter. First time home buyer, they need to know that. Things, just little things like that. Nothing big deal, but I always want you to do a video. And if you can't do the video, put content with it at least. And then if you're not good at writing content, have your VA help you with that. Then I want you to create, and you've heard me talk about this before, in January of every year, you should send out, probably by the 20th, if not the 15th, your previous year client's settlement statement. That is a great touch. They appreciate it. You're always going to get positive feedback on it. But what do you do to prepare for that in January? So every time you have a closing, you have a folder. In that folder, you're going to have all the documents. Okay, so now create another folder that maybe says 2025 closing statements, and then, or settlement statements, whatever you want to call them, and put those in there. So at the beginning of January, all you have to do is put your email together and attach it and send it. Send it by email, you can send it in the mail, you can take it and drop it off at their house, whatever it is you want to do, but make it easy. But you have to have a system, and you've got to put that system in place. So by doing this now and setting it up for the rest of the year, when you close, you just move that that document over to that 2025 closing statement folder. And then whether we're sending it out for you or somebody else, or you're doing it by yourself, you're organized. You know where they are. You don't have to go look for them. You don't have to do anything because it's all ready to go. So with all the things that I have to share with you in this limited time, we will, just touch on some things. So one of the things that we always say is every month, something should be going to your past client. You need to sit down right now. We're in the second quarter of the year, so this is a great time to look at what you've done in the first quarter to touch base with your clients, and then what are you going to do for the rest of the year. If you want to break it down by month, that's fine. If you're going to do it by quarter, but if you do it by year, you can do all kinds of things. This is where I love to get into the nitty gritty, and I'm the one that says you plan your overall year, then you break it down into a quarter, then you break it down into a month, and that way you can achieve it. And so if you have a lot to do with your your post-close power system, then you got a little work to do. It's not going to be hard. You just got to be able to put your mind into it and work on it from the heart. It's like, don't just throw things at people. Really think about what would they appreciate? What do they need to know? How can I help them to, maybe give them advice on, how to take care of their pool, things like that. People appreciate the advice, and then they will come back and say to other people, my realtor is just always on top of me. We want two things to happen. We want them to appreciate everything that you do for them, and the contacting and the emailing and the phone calls and all of that. But you don't want it to be fake. You want it to be genuine. So when you're working with your client, you take notes. They have 2 dogs. They have a Yorkie. They have a golden retriever. They have a little boy, a little girl. They're pregnant. They just got divorced, or they just got married. Whatever that is, keep some notes and pay attention, so that as they are moving into their home and over that first year, everything they talked about when you were either selling or helping them buy, they dropped hints about their lifestyle. And then you can kind of zero in on that for anniversary, birthdays, Christmas, whatever. But if there is nothing else that you walk away with, because you're sitting there going, I'm on a budget and I can't do all these things. These don't cost money. This is time. This is where you're putting in time. And this is, I always say, busy time doesn't make you money. But if you put your head into it, and it is a system that's going to make you better, it's going to keep you more organized, and it's going to help you be more connected to your clients, that's a moneymaker. So this is a moneymaker. So you have to remember, even though you don't see the money coming from it, in the short term, you're going to see it in the long term. And I can pretty much guarantee that you'll do that. And if you've already been doing this, you know what I'm talking about. And I would love to hear from you on how your system is working for you. There is a couple of things that I would recommend. Is we have a system that we call Monday Inspiration. And this is a weekly email that we send out on your behalf to your database. And it is all about, inspiration, feel goods, motivation, and everything. It has nothing to do with real estate. But these are emails that go out to your audience that makes them feel good. And I will say, out of all the years that I've been doing this with all of the clients, which has been probably thousands, this is probably a number one lead generation tool in their arsenal. And the reason is because it's not real estate. It's a feel good. It's a story. It makes them just really happy. And so if this is something you want to implement into your business, we would be more than happy to talk to you further about it. It is exclusive to my clients, so it's not something that you can go out and purchase. So if it is something that you're interested in, this could be a great way to, really personalize your touches with your audience. So with that said, as you know, we always have a blog on the podcast, and we also do a YouTube video. So if you like to learn in different ways, we have 3 options for you. And then, kind of let me know if you have any questions or any, if you're not sure how to do something, just give us a comment, send us an email, and we will be more than happy to schedule a call with you. There is going to be a link in the show notes that you can schedule a 30-minute complimentary call. So please take advantage of that. I think that if more agents took advantage of that 30 minutes, it doesn't mean you're going to become a client. It just means that we're going to talk for 30 minutes about your business and some strategies on how to get you from point A to point B that's going to help you. And it's a customized strategy. It's not a cookie cutter. So reach out, let me know. Make sure you give me a thumbs up, give me a review. And if you're watching this over on YouTube, I really would appreciate it if you give me a like and follow. And we will talk to you next week. Thanks so much. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you know someone, and I bet you do, who would appreciate this podcast, please share it with them. As a reminder, this podcast can be delivered directly to your favorite device by using the subscribe links you can find in the show notes below or over at unstoppablerealestateagents.com. Remember, it takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. Have a great day.